Next guest is going to speak to you, but it's an honor to be here, and I really appreciate all of you being here supporting your city, and thank you very much.
Representing the Governor of Puerto Rico, the Honorable Juan Hernandez Mayoral.
Buenos dias, good morning. The Mayor of the City of St Augustin, St. John's County Commissioner, el Alcalde de la ciudad de Santa Verdas de Campos, el Cónsul Adscrito de México, friends of St. Augustine. I stand before you on behalf of the Governor of the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Alejandro García Padilla, to commemorate Juan Ponce de León, our island's first governor under the Spanish crown, and to celebrate with you 500 years of Spanish heritage here in St. Augustine, Florida. To talk about Juan Ponce de León, his history in Puerto Rico, his trips, his conquest, and his ties with the state of Florida will require much more time than what I have been granted, but nonetheless, I will try to highlight the most significant aspects of this historical figure. Don Juan Ponce de León y Figueroa was a Spanish soldier born in 1474 in Santeras de Campos, the northern part of what is known today as the Spanish province of Valladolid. He was of noble ancestry and had been a page in Ferdinand the Catholic's and in John II of Aragon's courts. He became well known as a combatant in the military campaigns in Granada and in the Spanish Reconquista. He arrived at the New World as a result of the war against Granada. Like many of his contemporaries, he looked for other opportunities, and in September 1493 joined Christopher Columbus and 1,200 other Marines, conquerors, and soldiers on his second voyage to the Americas. After visiting several islands, he arrived at La Española and collaborated with Governor Nicolás de Obando in its conquest. Once there, the governor gave him the task of conquering the neighboring island of San Juan, or Borinquen, as the native Taino Indians call it. The conquest was completed in 1508, and Ponce de León was appointed the island's first governor in 1510. It is worth mentioning that during his time in the island, he founded the first permanent settlement called Caparra in the city of Guaynabo. Ponce de León's mandate as governor was interrupted by a series of legal disputes with Diego Columbus, Christopher Columbus' son, after Spanish authorities refused to concede him Christopher Columbus' military government titles upon his death at the Convento de San Francisco de Valladolid in 1506. Instead, the crown appointed Ponce de León as colonist and governor of Puerto Rico. Is it then that Diego Columbus files a claim at the Court of Madrid, for he considered himself heir of his father's titles and privileges, and prevails in removing Ponce de León from his appointed position in 1511. Ponce de León felt this legal defeat tarnished his reputation, which led him to decide against serving Diego. He opted to obtain the necessary titles to explore northern Cuba. Ponce de León then financed his own trip to areas situated to the north of the neighboring island, obtaining 3 ships for this purpose. Thus, on April 2nd, 1513, Ponce de León finally arrived at La Florida, namely the newly discovered land after the celebration of the Pascua Florida or Easter. Once he got here, he navigated around the Biscayne Beach, went around the coast of Florida, and came in contact with the natives, including the Miami Indians, for which this beautiful city is named after. And by the word of the mayor of St. Augustin, they have all agreed locally where he has landed on the 38th parallel. Since it was originally believed that Florida was another Caribbean island, when Ponce de Leon returned to Spain in 1514, he accepted the task of conquering the Caribbean, the island of Guadalupe and the island of Florida. However, the task turned out to be more difficult than anticipated, compelling him to return to Puerto Rico and plan a second trip to Florida with 2 new ships in 1521. During his voyage, they were attacked by the Calusa Indians, and Ponce de Leon was injured from a poisonous arrow, forcing him to go to Havana, where he died shortly after. His remains were taken to our island and rest in the old San Juan Cathedral. The story that I have just shared with you about Juan Ponce de Leon is just a brief excerpt of a fascinating story of voyages and discoveries made in search of a dream that, according to some, revolve around the search for eternal life. A history that we highlight in recognition of a historical figure that is rarely acknowledged in his own country, Spain, but that in the United States is legendary, especially here in Florida and in our native land, Puerto Rico, where we have a statue similar to this one in his honor in Old San Juan, as well as a great portrait in the Palace of Santa Catalina, which is the oldest executive mansion in the Western Hemisphere. As we come together to celebrate the life and accomplishments of Juan Ponce de Leon, Puerto Rico witnesses today the arrival of the remains of Ramón Power y Giralt, the first Puerto Rican delegate and vice president of the courts in Cadiz, who drafted Spain's first constitution in 1812, known as La Pepa. Our people will commemorate the life of this historical figure, who also, in my research, served in 1794 here in San Marcos Castle under the Spaniards, and is an icon of Puerto Rican identity and an advocate for social justice. At this exact moment where we are gathered here this morning, the Spanish training ship Juan Sebastián del Elcano is navigating through the San Juan Bay, and for San Felipe del Morro, the renowned 16th century citadel built by the Spanish to guard the city of San Juan. Our governor, Garcia Padilla, awaits the arrival of officials of the Spanish Navy who will transfer the remains of Ramón Power y Giralt over to the Puerto Rican people. Today is indeed a day we must not forget. On behalf of the Governor of the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Alejandro Garcia Padilla, and myself, I thank you for extending us this invitation to celebrate the 500th anniversary of the discovery of this wonderful and prosperous state of Florida and the 450th anniversary of the city of St. Augustin. Muchas gracias.